Okay? It's as easy as that. And then you can, if you want to sand that smoother, get smaller, increasingly finer grits. Thank you. I'm getting sleepy too. Finer grits on this. Also, you can get bigger discs as well. Vince carries these kinds of extensions. They're really quite nice. So it would be the interior of a hollow form, sanding that. And I'll take this off and pass it around. I think it will pass muster. There's a couple little indentations, but that's just the wood itself because it is burl. I'll pass around this guy that I did yesterday as well. For a bowl, somebody wanted to know, what do we do for a bowl? So the interior of a bowl. Okay, there we go. So again, it's kind of like, is your shop like mine? Thanks. And again, you can walk through the grits, and you can get the bigger discs, or these are 2 and 3/8, yeah. And various grits, but you just walk through them. And if you have a really wide bowl, big bowl, actually use that random orbit sander, that 5-inch. But a lot of our bowls aren't quite that big. So let's start with, I'll just do this real quickly and start with 120. I just got this thing. Okay, well, there we go. There we go. Okay, and same thing, you just... This is where you need your dust collector up, mounted in the ceiling, or one of those big mouths set right up here, because you're going to be kicking up a lot of dust. But again, the power sanding, because it's not static, you're not going to get those circular grooves. It's constantly moving. So that's pretty much how I do the inside of a bowl. Any questions on sanding real quickly? Yeah, hi. And I what? Full on. She wants to know what speed I'm running the drill on. Dust. And it's full on. You can run slower if you want. I run it. I just go for it. Okay, any other questions? Another thing about this particular drill too is that you can adjust this, so if you want to go straight in, or if you need an angle. So it's not fixed at an angle, it's very adjustable. It's quite a nice tool. It's a Bosch. Pass it around. I got it from an online service called CPO Bosch, and it's a factory recondition, saved a lot of money, and it's a fine tool. Okay. So we talked about safety, sanding on the lathe, power sanding, inside of the bowl. All right, fixes. Sometimes on occasion, when you take your piece off the lathe, you might bump into something like the tool rest, or I'm going to get a different piece of wood to bump with for demonstration purposes. And a little dent. Are we here? Can you see that? So you say, "Ah, shucks. Do I have to put it back on the lathe and turn it down, or do I put it back on the lathe and sand it some more?" Well, actually, you can. What can you do with a dent? Some of you already know the answer. And it's basically to steam it out. You don't have to have a steam box. You can just use a hot iron and a little water. Excuse me? Spit on it? Yeah. Here's some water. I'm going to pass it around. I don't think you want my spit. Okay. Have to find a dent. Here it is. And this little thing I got on eBay. It's a small little hot iron. I think they used to, it's for mounting photographs, but I think they used to use them also in the meat department at grocery stores to seal the backs of the packages. Anyway, you can get them, I think, still on online. It's Seal brand. And so I think we got it hot enough. Can you see the dent? Okay, here we go. Magic. You just heat it up, and it should be lifting out right about now. Yep, there we go. Okay, so you put water on it, it's going to raise the grain. So after that dries, you want to sand it down again. Yeah. Yes, you can, but they're pretty big, and I don't want to argue with my wife about using her iron. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Here we. Still a little hot, but we can pass that around. I want all this stuff back. Did somebody say something? Okay. Okay. Another thing you do on. I'll get one of these pieces here. When I do inlay, I often will have a little void. Like right there, you see that? I missed that one. So what I can do there is I thicken my lacquer and then just drop little drops on those voids until it's filled out, and then sand it flat. And then that pretty much takes care of the void for me. Makes sense? It's pretty easy and straightforward. Yeah, I just take a little baby food jar or something, pour some in and set it out and let it dry out a little, evaporate. And it gets kind of thick, and then I can just drop it in there. It will settle in, and that dent will take a few drops to fill in. So, okay. I'd put a little lacquer in a small jar, set it out, let it thicken up until the viscosity is about twice as thick as the original. Then I take a little drop, and I'll put it on that little void. It'll dry, and it will sink in. You have to put another drop on, let that dry, it'll sink in, put another drop on. You build it up, and then eventually that void's full of dried lacquer, and you just sand it down. Then you can go ahead and start All right. Yeah. For painted surfaces, most of the time I use maple. As a matter of fact, it's so abundant around here, that's primarily the wood I use. I really love to turn Madrona. Madrona or Madrona? Yeah. I read an article about that argument, and they said north of the Siskiyous, it's Madrona. South of the Siskiyous, it's Madrone. What's that? So, but it's arbutus, right? Yep. What's that? Arbuda. Okay, so let's do buffing now. Now I use the Beal buffing system, and it mounts right on the lathe. Okay, so the Beal buffing system, the system comes with three buff wheels and buffing compounds. The buffing compounds are Tripoli, it's a red substance, white diamond, which is white, and then carnauba wax. The three wheels are designed for those three buffing compounds, and they are consistently, they start with a hard, I think it's more of a linen at the front end, and a mix of linen and cotton, and then a soft cotton for your final buff with your wax. All right. When you order it, you can get them where they mount between your headstock and your tailstock, and all three are mounted and spinning at once. I don't like that because I can't get around and use the whole buff wheel. So I put them on one at a time. In the kit, I believe it just comes with the three wheels, and then you need to buy the extension and the Morris taper. Okay? All right. Yeah. Yeah. They also have one that threads on. Wider? No, these are the ones. They're well worn. Okay. So Beal suggests that you buff raw wood at 1750, excuse me. And they recommend that you sand to 220. I sand to 400, and I'll take it up for just a plain piece of raw wood. Which is here. 400, except for that place where I put water. So I'm just going to give it a quick touch again. Yesterday, this got away from me, so that's why we have the table here. So, Tripoli. You don't need to put much compound on the wheels to get it to work. And you see how flat and matte that is? So we'll run it. I'll just do one side of this. All right, we're beginning to get a shine. And again, this is just plain wood. There's no wax on it at all, or oil. Now, white diamond. should bring it up a little better. Now if I get this edge here caught on this side, it's going to go shooting right into your face. So I'm going to be real careful. I have a Powermatic, and I like to slide the headstock down to the end so I have nothing underneath it when I'm buffing. So in case I do drop it, it doesn't hit the ways here, because if it weighs, you're going to get a huge dent, and you're going to have to kind of probably start all over again. Not that I would know anything about that myself. Yeah. On a lacquered bowl? No. No. Sandpaper, and I'll talk about that later. And then lastly, wax. This is carnauba. It's pure carnauba. Comes with the kit. It's not turtle wax that's cut by with anything else. It's very, very hard wax. So it'll put a really hard surface on your finished piece of wood. And see how soft this buffing wheel is? I've been applying the same pressure, but this one's flattening out more. There we go. Well, it's still got a few dents and dings from roaming around in my shop, but you can see how the shine, the luster comes up. And that's as easy as it is. So if you really want a simple finish without any additional oil or wax, you just do the old buffing system. You get a pretty nice luster on your wood. Louder? Louder. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which brings me to my next finish, which is, I'll come out here. I use this product, Osmo brand, called Top Oil. It's a wax oil combination. It's food safe, and it's made in Germany. This little can costs $42, but you put very, very thin coats on. It doesn't take much. So this little can will last a long time. If you want to buy a whole bunch, they make it in gallons, but it'll cost you. One thing that this oil does, it dries really quickly when applied overnight and you're ready to buff. They say put 2 coats on. So put a coat on overnight, it's dry, put another coat on, the next day you can buff it out. When your can starts getting low, you start getting oxidation inside and skinning over, but not just skinning over, it gets hard inside. So I strongly recommend you use something like Bloxygen after you use it, and that's I forgot what it is. It's another gas.
Inert gas.
Excuse me?
An inert gas.
Inert gas. I forget which one it is. But it's not oxygen. It blows out all the oxygen, which causes things to dry out, and it won't skin over. If you don't want to buy this, just put marbles in it, in your can, and raise the level up to the top of the throat again. What are you saying? What?
Oh, I know, I was just commenting. Sometimes I use propane, like propane torch to fill it up with that. You gotta be careful with that, but
Okay.
it keeps the oxygen out.
Okay. And especially this is this is flammable. And then also, if you don't want to buy marbles, you can just go outside and find some pebbles and drop some rocks in there. But be sure and wash them off because you don't want that gritty stuff in your can. Okay?
Where do you get it?
I got this online at Amazon. It's kind of hard to find. I wrote the company and asked them for an outlet here in Washington. They didn't have one. So they suggested I get it from a company in South Dakota, and it's the same company that sells on Amazon. So go to Amazon and get it there. Okay, so one of the frustrating things about wood turning is sometimes you have an accident. And I was going to buff this one out. This one's been treated with the oil and wax, the Osmo oil and wax. And today it was in the truck, and I opened the door and it fell out, hit the concrete, and it broke. You're supposed to say, oh. You know, this is a really nice hunk of Madrona burl. I was devastated. I just wanted to put this little small collar on it and call it good. What's that? New collar. It's got a longer crack in it, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But I did have this other collar that I could put on, and it's Madrona too. But we're not going to buff this one tonight because it is cracked. So I had to do a quick scurry around the shop. I had this bowl. It's Madrona burl as well. And it's got all the wrinkles from Madrona that after it dries, you know, that cool stuff in there. Or we can buff this one. Which one do you want me to buff? The big bowl or the small vase? The big one? Okay. All right. Let's hear it. Which one do you want me to hear? The bowl? The bowl? Vase? Bowl one, it sounds like. Okay. Okay, you guys are tired tonight. I swear. Okay, I really like coming up here and chatting with you guys. It's a lot of fun. So again, on this one, go ahead and get it turning at a higher rate of speed. I don't have it very fast right now. There we go. It's 1250. Those of us who have a soft middle part here, it comes in really handy as a brace for your piece. That was funny. You can laugh. No. Okay, see the luster's coming up, and I'll do the foot. It's pretty good. All right, so how do you do the inside of a bowl? This bowl is big enough that I could use this wheel. Here we go. I always want to keep both hands on this thing. All right, and the rim. Huh? Yeah. I was going to, that was my next comment. If you have a smaller bowl that can't fit in the big buffer, you can use these buffing balls. They're also available from Beal. I'll do that real quickly just to show you how they work. But I think I'll just continue afterwards with the wheels. Where did I put it? There it is. You don't do that in your shop, do you? Never. So this has got quite a bit of compound on it already. So you just kind of work it in there. Pretty straightforward. Takes a little more time because it's a smaller surface. That's about a little hammer too. You don't have to hold it on quite so aggressively. Beg your pardon? Right. So that's the buffing balls. They do come even smaller. They come in this size as well. All from Beal. You can get them on. I was looking at them today on on the Craft Supply website. They have them there. Notice too. Let me show you. The mounts on the inside are different colors. So they're color-coded for the buffing compound. So red is for the Tripoli, white is for white diamond, and yellow is for the wax. Okay, you don't want to cross over your compounds on your wheels or balls because it'll mess them up. So I've been asked several times, how do you clean them? You can get a rake to rake them and get the crap out if you want. I kind of use my fingers, and I don't do that very often. I probably should clean them more. No. All right, tip of the day, old bandsaw blade. Okay. What did I do? Just told you not to mix up your compounds, and I got the wrong wheel on. Sorry. That's the first time honestly, that's the first time I've done it. Okay. Okay, here we go. And see how this wheel is more flexible again than the first one? It's softer. Just a moment. Okay, what? No. No, I've already got the oil wax on it. So this is just buffing that out. Yeah, I could, in a couple years if I was using it, I actually have the same product on my kitchen counter, my maple kitchen counter, and I can, as it gets used every year or two, I go in and give it a new coat, and it works quite nicely. So you can refresh this really easily. I clean it up, so if it needs sanding, yeah. Wax.